Hey everybody, it's Jason McDonald here, and I've got a web service demonstration for you here today that's going to be showing the full connection of a front end and back end of what's called the expense management service is the project that I'm working on. So let's go ahead and get this served up and let's go take a look at it. This is built in React.js for the front end, and it's connecting to the Node.js and Express.js connection that we had previously using Postgres as the database project from Module 1. So for this from Sprint 1. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, let's go ahead and get started on getting the server spun up first. So let's go ahead and get the back end going, which you can see we're up and running. And we'll go ahead and get the front end running. And let's just get that here. And this is done with Vite and with React. So got a great setup here. So we're just going to click on this link and let's get that front end popped up, which here it is. Just bring it right over here for you. So as you can see, this is for a fictitious company at the time here. It's called Quantum Tech. This is just a company name that I had decided and come up with. And you'll see here as we get going, just a few little things of functionality that show up. So let's get that web page brought back up, which right here, you can see this is our login page. We got a logout button right here as well. So we'll just click on that so we're not showing logged in. Now this page, you can only access it if you're someone who has has registered with the site. So if you try to log in with just a random login and you try to sign in, the web page is going to tell you the login failed because you're not registered. So what you'll need to do is come in and register. So I've gone ahead and registered myself in it, but let's go ahead and let's go through creating users. So if you click on this register link right here, what you're going to see is just a form that's going to let you fill out and register. You can also get back by clicking on sign in. It'll take you back to the login page. There's also a login button up here at the top that'll take you back to the login page too, so you can move around the site pretty well. So let's go ahead and register, and we'll register one of the users there that's in the company. So we'll register Bob Johnson. This is going to be his name. So we're going to Bob, last name Johnson, which is his username, B Johnson, and then his email B. Let's see, his email in the system is bob.johnson@example.com. And we'll just give him a basic password. Now, I'm going to tell you what it is because it's just going to be here on the site, but it's going to be password 1 with a capital P, and we'll just go ahead and register. And if you notice, once you register, I know Google's going to get mad because it's a pretty generic password, but once you register, it loads you into our first dynamically loaded page with data coming from the database itself, which is our dashboard page. Now this dashboard is going to be able to show the user that is registered here the total number of expenses that are in the system right now, the total amount, as well as individual expenses incurred by each person, and how much they are, which is pretty neat here for just a landing. This will obviously be an opportunity to continue to fledge this out even further and create even more widgets that can show up here on this page and more components to help with providing a good overview of what's going on with the expenses of the company. If you notice here, now all of a sudden there are these new pages. The CSS is one of the things that I still want to continue working on to kind of get things a little bit spread out. This is using Tailwind CSS, so it's using a CSS library, which is really cool. It allows you to write the code itself inside of the actual elements themselves when you write the JavaScript, which we'll get through that here as we go through. So right now I'll just show you what I mean by that. So for example, for my navigation bar, the CSS is actually written right here in the class itself rather than in a dedicated CSS file. And you'll be able to see that here with the different links that are showing up there as well and where they go. So this is why React is a really great framework, because it does dynamically load up the data and the information on the pages here. So we'll continue to go through that as we move through the demonstration. You'll be able to see this. So now that Bob is here and he'll be able to actually move around to these different links. What I was getting at, when you notice that they appeared once you actually logged in, these are considered private routes, which means that these links will not appear to anybody who's not logged into the web page. So you have to sign in and have to be in the database as a user in order to actually be able to access the data that's on the site. So we'll be able to go over to the expenses. You'll see that the expenses page loads a table dynamically. Again, this is not, it's in the elements, but we'll show you here in just a minute. The HTML code in this project is very simple and doesn't contain any of these elements. They're all served by React. As well as we look at the employees, we'll get a detailed list of the employees. Look, there's Bob with his email and everything, how they're paid, their start dates, end dates, all that information. We'll come back to the dashboard here. There is a logout button as well. That logout button will let you actually log out and bring you back to homepage. So that's a pretty interesting little site that moves around. So we've got a login page, a registration page, as well as 3 pages inside of the registration of the login page, which is the dashboard, the expenses, and the employees. The forgot password is available there. It does not work yet. There's no page that it gets served to help you get your password. That's also an opportunity for the future in building on the site. So that can be another page that can be popped up that it allows the user to get a password reset, where they can send them a form and they can provide their email, and then we can send that email, check that in the database, and get the password. So a few things I want to show as far as the code goes. Been mentioning a lot how things are dynamically served here. So let's go ahead and just take a look at this index.html file really quick. And if you notice, in this index.html file, there's literally one div. And the one div is the root div. And that is pretty important, because as we look through the code itself, we'll be able to see here exactly how we are able to serve all the data and all of the components, as well as all the different elements on the page, into the root div. So we've got our script file, which is basically our source of main.jsx. Here it is right here. And this is where we're going to start building our document. So this is our creating our root document, and what we're doing is we're basically serving our application, which is from app.jsx. Inside of there, we have different providers for authorization, as well as context, the CSS, and the different routes. Those are all going to appear here in the app file. So we've got our different routes. You'll notice we've got our navbar component. So over here in components, we have navbar, as well as our private route components. This is just the code for our navbar. So this has our functionality of the navbar, how it's supposed to behave. So you notice it'll only show the login link if we're not on the login page itself, which is pretty interesting. And then this will serve up the different links if we're logged in. So unless it's logged in, then we're not going to be able to actually see it. And this separates them out from left side links versus right side links, which is pretty cool. This gives us the button on if we're logged in or not. So if we're logged in, we'll have the log out button. Otherwise, we're just going to show the login link. So that's the nice thing about React, is you can have your functionality of how you want things to behave in the top part of your function, and then you return the HTML that you're looking for. So in our private route, this is just how we would navigate through the private routes themselves as a part of the components. So in here, you're going to see a whole bunch of different subfolders, assets for images, and other data that you want to show on the page. So this is where the logo is. I was playing around with the login page background, but couldn't get it to work, so that got left out for now as an opportunity for a future addition. In our context, we've got our authorization context. So this is how we handle authorization and store. We add and remove user data to the local storage to be able to use it. and we have our context that we can use that in. We're using a React hook as well here called useAuth, and this is how we're able to actually use the auth context for authorization on here. Inside of here we do have our pages. So in our pages we have our dashboard page, which, as you can see here, again, just shows the state of the page that we want, as well as the URL to our backend. That URL is in an environment variable, so and it's also hard coded here for the local host. That way in production, this environment variable can actually be the actual hosted backend if this were to be deployed to a hosted backend. So that way it's not hard coded. Local host would just be for testing. So what you can see here is you can see our fetch expenses function, and what that's doing, it's asynchronously fetching all the expenses. And then here what we're doing is we're setting that data into local storage, and then we're actually calculating that out. So this is how we get the total expenses and setting that. Sorry, this isn't in local storage, setting it in the component. And going and fetching the expenses. That way in the component we can serve total expenses right here. And then on top, then below that we can map out each individual expense to be able to be seen. Similar story over here in the employees tab, employees page. Again, we're just setting that up, getting all of our functionality together, fetching all our data, and then serving it. Expenses page, same thing. Where we get a little crazy, little hairy is the login page, because there's quite a bit of behavior that we have to handle here, which is getting our state set up, handling our login submit, and what we're trying to do on submit. So we're setting it to loading, we're sending the data back to the backend to confirm that the user is actually one to be logged in, and it's sending the email and password back. When the data does come back in here on the return for us, it does not return the password, but rather it returns a JWT token, a JWT token, which is a JSON web token, and brings you right into the navigates you right into the dashboard page. Otherwise, it'll tell you to fail to log in. Same thing happens with the registration page. We got a lot of behavior set up first, which is getting our form set up, getting everything we need, handling what's going to happen on submit of the form, sending that data off to the database, and then looking to get them logged in. Again, with creating a JWT token for them so that they can then get logged in and get navigated right to the dashboard page once they get registered. And if there's an error, they'll let them know that the registration failed on there, and to try again. And then here's our HTML that's being rendered when that happens. So that's the front end code here. What's changed in the back end is just a little bit. We'll just go into that really quick. The biggest thing is mainly just the login work and what that's doing. So I just wanted to go through quickly the login service as well as the controller here, and the routes. So we've created, in our routes file, we've created a login and a registration route. Basically, we're login and register route. Those handle the login page and the registration page. You'll notice that there's a controller that's making the calls, so we're looking to register the user. So this is where we're getting all the data from our request body and sending that down to the database with our login service here. So that's how we're connecting there. We're generating a JWT token as well. There's a JWT secret in the environment variable that is used to sign the JWT token, basically confirming that yes, we found this user in the database, and yes, they are trusted. So we have that there. And again, this is how we would log them in. So this is when we register a user, we create a JWT token, and when we log them in, we create a JWT token as well for them. And there is functionality to be able to delete. So what this is doing here, this functionality, delete existing user.password, what that's doing is that is not allowing the user's password to be sent back to the front end to be saved in local storage. So passwords are not saved for the users in local storage. That's again kept secret. We don't want to be passing that data up to the front end or providing it for malicious users. When we get into the service, what you'll see here, you'll see that we're actually not even saving the password as a string value, so you can't even see it as in plain text. And what I can show you here is, here's my server with my expense management service database. We're just going to go ahead and open that up, where we're just reconnecting really quick with the Docker instance that has the database. You'll notice there's a users table right here. We'll just go ahead and query this users table really quick to show you what's going on with the passwords here. So we'll just select star for users. We'll run it, and you'll notice here's mine, here's Bob. So yes, the passwords are hashed, which means they are not stored as plain text. So, and you can see that functionality right here, where we're taking the registration data and we're doing a hashed password, and then inserting that hashed password into the database, so that we have that all squared away. We also be able to find users by email, so when a user goes to log in, we can find them by email. We can use their email to look at the email field of the table, and then that'll be the way that we can then take that password and solve it out, verify that it's the correct password, and then get the plain text and use that to get them logged in. So as long as we can get that squared away and prove that they're a user and get logged in, then we're good to go. So this is my demonstration for my React web service application, connecting to a backend API that connects to a database. So this is a full stack creation at this point. It's taken a couple of modules to get this built out and taken care of, but I'm very excited for how it's turned out and what it's looking for. And again, as you can see here, we'll just square this back up one more time. Here's the page. I'll just go ahead and log in with mine to show you that not just Bob can log in, but I can as well. And I'm able to get in, and you can take a look around at the pages again. So that's it for my demonstration. Thanks so much for coming along, and we'll look forward to talking to you here again soon. Thanks so much.